In this video, I will show you how to create a customer in Business Central. So from my role center, I will go into Sales, selecting Customers, and this brings me to the customer list. From the customer list, I can create new for creating a new customer. I can enter a customer number manually or by number series and provide a customer name. This could be the Bike Master in Copenhagen. And there will be some fields that I need to fill in and some fields that are not necessary to fill in. For instance, I might want to fill in a salesperson code, a language code if I want to use languages and reports. This might be a Danish customer, like this. An address that could be Petal Street number 3. And there might be a post number that already knows the city, so it will be filled in by default. I could have a contact name. A primary contact code is used if I want to use the contact table. Otherwise, I could just say that this is Graham Bell, for instance, and he has a phone number in Denmark, like this. Maybe an email called bell@bikemaster, etc. This way, I'll just go through all the fields on my customer card. Could be a web page here, like this. And I could have a VAT registration number. If it's in Denmark, it has to be 8 digits, depending on the country and the customer. Oops, and there was an error. So you saw here a validation functionality that checked my entering. I should have a general business posting group. So these are all the mandatory fields marked by the small dot, of course, like this. There could be customer price groups. I need payment terms for the customer. I could set up, payment terms code and payment method code. How is he going to pay? If I'm going to send reminders, how should that be? And how should the finance chart be calculated? All this is set up directly on the customer. Maybe I want to set up a location code that is default for this customer as well. So in this way, I can fill in all the fields on the customer card. And when I'm done, I'll just go back or press escape. And I have now created this new customer ready to use.
A neat little feature when working with customers is that we can make templates for creating customers. To make a new customer template, we open the customer list and open a random customer card. We go into Actions, Functions, and Templates. Here I can create a new template. I give my template a name, such as domestic. State if it's enabled or not. Give it a number series. I can type in address or contact informations. In invoicing, I can set the posting groups. I can give prices and discounts. I can set the currency code or the language code. I can also predefine payments. If I'm working with dimensions on my customer, I can also apply this to the customer template. I do this up in dimensions. And here I can set up the dimensions that I would like to be contained in this template. I can here see that the template is saved, so it will be able to use it for creating customers. I can also make a customer template based on a customer that has already been set up. If we go back on the customer card, I can go into Actions, Functions, and Save as Template. I first give my template another name, for instance, export. And customer. I can then either define or change information that has been set in automatically from the customer. I would like to delete the address information and the currency code. If dimensions were set on the customer, which it had here, it will automatically be transferred here. And if this is not what I want for my template, I can simply delete it. I could have changed it if that was what I wanted. When I now make a new customer, I will be asked for which template I would like to use. I will choose the domestic. If I accidentally choose the wrong template, I can change it by applying the other template. I go into Actions, Functions, and Apply Template. And now I can choose Export instead and press OK. And under Invoicing, I can now see that the General Business Posting Group has been set to export. If I later want to change my template, if I later would like to change the content of my template, I can do this from the template list. I go into Actions, Functions, and Templates. Mark the template that I want to edit and open the card. The customer card are divided into tabs where fields that are similar are grouped together. Here on this customer card, the tabs has been collapsed and we can only see fields of information that has been promoted. In the General tab, we have information about the customer number and name and balance and total sales. Address and contact holds the information about the address and contact of the customer. In invoicing, we found posting details and currency code. In the payment tab, we have information about the application method, payment terms, and reminder terms. And lastly, in the shipping tab, we have information about ship to codes and from where we want to ship our items and other information relating to the shipping. Let's have a look at the basic fields on the customer card. In number, we type in the customer number that we had defined. If it's been set up, it will use a number serial. If your setup allows it, you can type in a customer number manually. In name, we state the customer's name. Under address and contact, we set in the customer's address. If we have set up postcodes in the postcode table, along with city, along with county region code, the city and county region code will be filled in automatically when I choose a postal code. It is also under address and contact that we define the language code for the customer. This is the language code that defines the language for which we communicate with the customer. Under invoicing, we need to make sure that the general posting group, the VAT posting group, and the customer posting group are set up. These will be explained further in another video. In currency code, we defined which currency the documents for the customer are calculated in. If the currency is equal to local currency, this field should be left blank. In the invoicing tab, we would also need to consider if our prices on the document should be shown including VAT or not. In payment terms, we define a payment terms code which indicate the payment terms that you are giving for your customer. In payment method code, we choose the payment method that we have set up and we would like our customer to use. In reminder terms, we choose a reminder term for our customer. If this is left blank, we will not be able to create reminders for this customer. In finance charge code, we define the finance charges that should be calculated for the customer. Under the shipping tab, if you're using locations, fill out the location code from where you would like the customer's orders to be automatically processed from. Last but not least, we have the shipment method code, which defines the shipment method that we would use for shipping our orders to the customer. Let's have a look at the frequently used fields on the customer card, here among calculated fields. If we start with the calculated fields here in the General tab on the customer card, we have a few of them. The first one is balance in code local currency, which shows us how much this customer owes us for the complete sale. Here in balance due, we can see the payments that the customer are overdue per today's date. Here in total sales, we can see all of the turnover we have had with the customer in the fiscal year. This contains both of posted invoices and credit memo, but also open documents that will change the total sales, such as unposted credit memos or return orders. The cost is the sum of the cost prices from the items or resources of the items that we have sold to the customer. In profit, we can see how much we have earned on the customer, calculated based on posted documents. And the profit in percentage gives us the profit percentage. These are all calculated fields from the customer ledger entries. In the General tab, there's also a few fields that is often updated or used on a customer, such as blocked, if the customer should be blocked either for shipment, for invoicing, or for both shipment and invoicing. Privacy block can be turned on if we would like to have limited access to the data due to a privacy review. If we activate this, we can see that the blocked is automatically filled. In salesperson code, we can define a salesperson that are responsible for this customer. In document sending profiles, we can connect customers to document sending profiles. These define how we would like to send our documents to the customer. If nothing has been picked in this field, a default will be used for the customer. In last date modified, we can see when this customer card was last updated. Under address and contact, in contact code, we can define if we have set up contacts on the customer and which should be the primary contact. In contact name, we can either just type in a contact, or it can be filled out from the contact code that we have chosen above if we are using this. In phone number, we add the customer's primarily phone number. Email is the email address that we primarily are sending documents to. Homepage, the customer's homepage. In invoicing, we can define if our bill to customer is another than the actual customer card. We do this by finding the other customer and put it here in bill to customer number. In VAT registration number, we state the customer's VAT registration number. In GLN, we enter the customer's global location number if we are using electronic document sending. In payments, we can insert a prepayment percentage if the customer needs to prepay for all of their orders. In partner type, we can define if it's a customer or it's a company. This information we can use for filtering other places in the system. Lastly, in the shipping tab, we can define if the customer has more than one ship to location. We can then set up different ship to codes and we can choose from them from the list if they have been set up. On the customer, there are some neat frequently used actions that I would like to show you. These actions are mixed of setup on the customer, aggregated information about the customer, an action that can be done directly from the customer card, which give us a shortcut to actions that we would normally perform other places in the system. From navigate and customer, we can set dimensions on the customer. We can define more ship-to addresses if the customer have alternative ship-to addresses. In contact, we can set up more contact cards. In cross-references, we can set up item numbers that refer to the customer's item numbers, so that we can show the customer's own item number on the document instead of our item number. And in comments, we can set up comments about the customer. Under history, we find shortcut entry into the ledger entries for the customer. This is a fast way to see all the customer ledger entries for the customer. The same in statistics. We can see useful statistics of aggregated data on the customer. There are also other predefined statistics that you can open from here. In prices and discounts, we can set up invoice discount percentages that apply to customer invoices. Prices, if a customer should have other prices than that on the item card. And line discount if the customer apply for line discounts. Under documents, we can navigate to documents relevant for the customer. From here, I can, for instance, open orders and see all of the orders in the system for this customer. Under actions and new documents, I can create a long list of documents directly from the customer card. When I make a document, all of the customer's information will automatically be inserted into the sales order. Some of these most frequently used actions has been promoted and can be found here on the customer card. On customers, we can define prepayment percentages on all orders or on specific items. We use these prepayment percentages if we would like the customer to pay in advance of sending the items. To set up a prepayment percentage for all orders, we do this under payments. Here in the prepayment percentage, we state how many percentages the customer should pay in advance. Now, when a new order is created, this prepayment percentage will be transferred. We can also set up prepayment percentages on just some items. We do this in Navigate, Sales, and Prepayment Percentages. Here I can set up for each item number. I can state a starting date, an end date, and the prepayment percentages. So if this customer buys item 1050, they would have a prepayment percentage of 100 for this specific product. When looking at my customers, I notice that I have two customers that looks very much the same. I have the Bike Master Atlanta up here, but also a new customer named Bike Master Atlanta. I assume that this is because we now have a duplicate of my two customers, but I can merge these two into one. I go into the customer card of the customer that I know contains most of the fields that I would like to keep. And I go into Actions, Functions, and Merge With. I now choose the customer that I would like to merge with. This gives me a comparison between the current customer and the merge with customer. I can now scroll over the informations on the customer card and say, for instance, I know that the new customer was made because the person who called me, so the contact person, changed. So a new customer card has probably been made instead of changing the contact on the original customer number. I therefore say override on the contact. And I can scroll over all fields that is either different or has been added. When I have looked all over the fields, I can say merge. This will result in the two customers being merged, and the duplicate record will be deleted and reassign the related records to the current record. Please be aware, when you do this, it cannot be undone. Yes. And now the duplicate customer number has disappeared and my contact name of Susan has been updated on the original customer card.
In this video, I will show you how to set up item discounts, line discounts, and invoice discounts on a customer. So from Business Central, from my customer list, I will enter the specific customer that I would like to provide some discounts. And from my Navigate tab, I can go into prices and discounts for the specific customer. So first of all, I could set prices, which is discounts for specific items. So in this case, I could take my item number that I created that I want to sell and enter a minimum quantity and a unit price for the specific item. So when this customer buys this item, at least 10 pieces, this is the price. I could also set a starting and ending date and thereby determine the prices in specific date intervals. Likewise, if I go into my line discounts, I could say that for this item, when this customer buys this item, like this, and he buys at least 100, I will provide him 5% discount. So now I set up discounts in two different ways on the same item on the same customer, which would normally not be done. But again, here you can have a starting date and you can set a line discount instead of a specific discount for this item. And the last thing I could do was to set up an invoice discount. So this means when the customer buys a total of whatever amount, he could have some discounts. So in this case, I could say if he buys in Danish crowns, at least 100,000, like this, I will give him a 3% discount. So after setting all of this up, this should take effect into the sales orders when I create sales order. And I can also see this data now if I enter my item list. I have the same view, but instead of seeing it per customer, I could see it per item. So if I enter my item number here and I go into my special prices, I can set my sales prices. And here I can see that the line that I just defined is the first one, and also define a line for another customer that buys this item a little more expensive. And again, likewise, I could go into my prices and set special discounts and see if other customer has discounts on this item. So this is a way I can work very generically with discounts and item prices. In this video, I want to show you how to create a sales quote in Business Central. From the main menu, I will enter my sales quote list or sales quote, and I will enter my customer number or customer name, and it will automatically fill out the customer details. On the item lines, I could select different item numbers. For example, 5 pieces of this item. And then the new item I've created especially for this customer, I could define here. Note the price now being 7,400, but when I enter as much as 115, there will be some line discount or a special price that determines another price here, both from the specific price and after that even line discount because I've set that up. From my action list, I could also calculate invoice discount if I've even set that up. So this customer has an invoice discount limit of 100,000. It will create even more discount. From my navigate list, my action list, I can now print my quote to the screen or save it as a PDF. And here I can select print preview to see how my quote would look. And because this customer is set up with the language code Danish, the print will be in Danish. After sending this quote to the customer, I could select to change it to a sales order if the customer accepts. So from my process function, I could say make order, and the make order functionality will change this quote into a sales order. And I can even open the sales order directly here. In this video, I will show you how to create a sales order in Business Central. From my main menu, I will select new sales order in the actions, and I'll go directly to creating a new sales order. Here I can select the customer number directly, and that will fill in the header information on my sales order. On my line, I can select between type items, resource, fixed assets, etc. So in this case, I will create an item number that we just created for a customer, like this. And I will select 25 pieces of that one. I would select a resource line in here because I want to add some training to this specific customer. He would like to buy some training for demonstrating his new bicycles, and that will be 2 hours. And I will select a GL account because I will charge the customers for some transportation as well. So I'll just add, transportation. And quantity will just be 1, and I will add the amount that I will charge the customer for the transportation. Now, if I want to calculate the invoice discount, I'll have to go to actions, my functions, and calculate invoice discount. And if the customer is set up with some levels for invoice discount, it will be calculated automatically. I could also add some more information on the header, for instance, a work description that I will await for the customer confirmation. After this, I can proceed and either send an email or print the confirmation for PDF or whatever. In this case, I will print the confirmation. And on the print, I can see both the invoice discount, all the lines, etc. Of course, the GL account number is hidden, and in this case, the order confirmation is Danish because the customer has a Danish language code.
Fields on the sales order are grouped together in tabs to make it easier to navigate the fields on the document. The first tab on the sales order is the General tab. Here we state which customer the order is for, and the dates relating to the document is filled out here. Next, we have the lines. The lines aren't really a section, but a subpage, and we go through the fields and functions on the sales line in another set of videos. Just below the lines are the subtotals. These are automatically calculated. In invoice details, we specify the payment of the sales order. In shipping and billing, we define where the order should be shipped to and who should have the bill. In foreign trade, we set up fields that has to do with intrastat selling. And if we're working with prepayments, this is set up in the prepayment tab. When looking at a sales order, it can be quite overwhelming with all the fields that are present on this document. But most of the fields are actually filled in automatically from the customer or on the lines from the item. But there are a few fields you need to fill out when you make a sales order. I will show you these few fields. If your system has been set up for using automatically number series, the number of the sales order would have automatically been set, or else you would need to fill this out. Then, of course, you need to specify for which customer this order is for. To fill out the customer, you can either look up in the field and choose the customer that you would like, or we can simply type the customer number in the field. A few dates will then be set into the document automatically. These dates can be changed, and the order date is the date from where the due date has been calculated. So the order date is a field that you should review if this is correct. There is also the shipment date in the shipment section. This is either calculated from the requested shipment date plus lead time, or we can guess at our very best when we would like to ship the order. We then need to specify which items that we would like to sell on this order. We choose the type. This can either be an item, GL account, a resale, fixed asset, or a charged item. We then need to specify the number. We can either write it or look up in our table to find the item that we would like to sell. We then need to fill out the quantity that the customer would like to buy. If a unit price has been set up on the item card, this was automatically filled out on the lines. But if we have changes to this is where we do it. Now all fields that are required for sending a sales order has been filled out, and we can print and send the document to our customer. On the sales order, we have some fields that we will frequently update either when we take up the order or in the weeks after, when we are either shipping or posting the order. The first field that is frequently updated is the document date. This refers to the issuing date of the related document, such as the shipment and the posted invoice, stating the date that this document was issued. Posting date is the date that we would like our ledger entries to be posted. In requested delivery date, we can state when the customer would like the whole order to be delivered. In promised delivery date, we can state when we have promised the customer that we can deliver the order. In external document number, we would type in the number we have been given from a customer of their reference to the document. In your reference, we would state the reference of a person from whom we have taken the order. Here in status, we can see whether the sales order is opened or released. We cannot change it here, but we do this in the ribbon under release and release. And we can also reopen it here. When taking the order, if the customer would like the order to be shipped to another address than normal, we would change this in the Ship To section. As a default, it will look at the customer card. If the customer card is set up to a specific Ship To address, they will be set in. If alternative Ship To addresses has been typed into the system, we can choose them from the list by choosing alternative shipping address. And from here we can choose from which of the alternative Ship To addresses that we would like to use. If the customer doesn't have an alternative shipment address stored in the system, I can type it in as well. I choose custom address, and I can change the address of the requested delivery. If the bill should be sent to another customer, this is changed in the bill to. We can look up for another customer. We can look up in the customer list and find the customer that we would like to send the bill to. In location code, we can state from where we would like to send our items. So if this order should be sent from another location, we choose a location from the list. Before we ship the document, we would often update the shipment date. Let me show you the frequently used action buttons on the sales order. Here under Navigate, under Order, we can find information related to the order. We can see statistics. These statistics are grouped together in tabs, which I can collapse and decollapse. I can navigate to the customer card. Dimensions can be set on the document if it has not been transferred from the customer. I can write comments on the order. I can see connected assembly orders, and I can add attachments. Under documents, I can see related posted shipments and invoices. So if this order has been shipped or invoiced over several documents, I will be able to see these related documents here. In actions, under functions, I can create purchase documents based on the sales order. I can also calculate invoice discounts. This functionality is used if the customer has invoice discounts set up on them and it has not been set up for the document to automatically calculate invoice discounts when the document is posted. This can be set up to be done automatically in the sales and receivable setup. Copied documents is a functionality that we use when we stand on a blank order and would like to copy a document that we have already placed in the system. I click on it and find which document type is it that I would like to copy and find the document number. And I can state if it should include the header and if it should recalculate the lines. Under posting, I can post the document. I can post it and create a new order. I can post and send the order using the document sending profile on the customer. I can run a test report to see how the report would more or less look like when it's been posted. I can preview the posting, giving me related entries where I can see how this order would actually be posted. And I can print a performer invoice. From the order, I can also print a work order or a pick instruction. I can email the order confirmation. I can print the order confirmation from the print button. And last but not least, release the order. I use the release button. And I can reopen it again if it has already been released and I would like to change something on the order. Document date is the date of the related documents. For instance, the date that the posted sales invoice have their document date. And it's based on this document date that the due date on the posted sales invoice is calculated. In posting date, we define the financial posting of the document, so we can change this to the month before if we want the posting financially to be in this month. Order date is the date for when this sales order was created. Requested delivery date is the date that the customer has requested for the delivery to be delivered. And in promised delivery date, we can state when we have promised the customer that we will deliver the order. The date about shipping is found in the shipping section. Dates defined on the document is automatically transferred to the document lines, but these can be changed if you want to. To edit dates on the lines, we mark the field and choose another date from the calendar. Now that I have changed the shipment on the line, doesn't change about the shipment on the header. If I'm on the other way around, changing the shipment date on the header, I will be asked if I want to update the lines. If I do this, all of the lines would now have been updated with the shipment date. On my sales order here, I have added requested and promised delivery date on my sales line. This I have done with personalization, which we found up in the menu here. But please be aware that these date fields are dependent on the license that you have, so you might not be able to get these fields visible.
In this video, I want to show you how to ship quantity on a sales order that I've made for a customer. First, I will find my sales order with the items I would like to ship, the quantities. It's the last one for my Bike Master Copenhagen. Here are the lines. And I've made a production order and actually finished or produced 18 pieces in this case, but I didn't. It's possible to post negative on inventory on a sales order. It's a setup in the inventory setup. So I will just ship 18 of this, of the quantity that I've made. And I've also like to ship the resource and the GL account. So I'll just enter the quantity to ship directly on the sales order line and then post the sales order like this. And I will post shipment because I'm not invoicing anything. I'm just shipping the goods for the customer. And you can see now that the quantity shipped is filled in with the quantity I just shipped. And the quantity to ship is the remaining stuff that the customer needs that I haven't produced yet. So now I can send the package, and next step would be to go into the manufacturing and finish my production order and actually put this item on stock. In this video, I will show you how to print a shipping note from a sales order. This is normally done in two different ways, one out of two ways. So the normal step would be to print it directly when you post the sales order. I'll show you that first. So if I'm on a specific sales order and I'm going to ship the sales order and entering quantity to ship, then when I post the sales order, I can select post and send, and that would both post the sales order and create a posted sales shipment, and also create, in this case, a PDF file that I can use for shipping. I'll just cancel that. If you post the sales order without printing it, you can always find the posted sales shipment. Posted sales shipment that is created each time you post a sales order. And here I'll find the last one I just made. And if I enter this sales order, I can see what was actually posted on that specific posting. So even though the sales order has another quantity, each time I post shipment, it will create a posted shipment. And from this posted shipment, I can print the sales order or print the shipping note directly to screen or PDF or whatever, and I can use this to send with the package. In this video, I will show you how to create a sales invoice in Business Central, or how to make a sales invoice from a sales order where we already have posted shipments. So it's two different ways of making a sales invoice. So let's start with the simple one. From my main menu, I will go to my sales invoice. In this case, I might have a customer who would like to buy some extra spokes. So I'll create a new sales invoice for my customer. This is the Bike Master Copenhagen. And I can enter either item, GL accounts, resource, etc. like when I created the sales order. In this case, I would like to also sell a spoke and maybe 30 pieces for this customer. And it doesn't have a sales price automatically because it's not set up on the item card, but I can see here on my fact box that the standard cost is 2 Danish crowns. I might say to the customer he has to buy 3, depending on my sales. And when I scroll right, I can see there's no columns for quantity to ship and quantity to invoice, because when it's a sales invoice, those will always follow each other. So now I can print it to my screen or just post it and send it. So I will go to post. Normally I would say post and send, and then send the invoice automatically. In this case, I will just post it. And when I post the invoice, it turns to be a posted invoice, and I can open it and see how it looks. And I can send it from here. If I didn't send it before, I can print it in here and then save it as PDF and send it to the customer. So this is one scenario. So now I posted, created and posted an invoice. The other scenario is a sales order, and I know that I have a sales order already for this customer. I have shipped some quantities of a bike and also some training and transportation. And if I scroll right on my sales order here, I can see that I already shipped 18 and 2 and 1, and I still missed to ship the 7. So if I post this directly now, it will suggest to ship the remaining quantity and invoice the shipped quantity already. What I want to do now is actually to post the quantity I have shipped. It's not allowed to post, not possible to post more than I have shipped. And then I can proceed. Post. And select post. And in this case, I will only post the invoicing because I already posted the shipment. Like this. And now my quantity invoice is, or my quantity invoice display what I have posted now. So there's an invoice that I can go and find in my posted sales invoice and send it. I could also have selected post and send. So if I go to my posted sales invoice here, and I might select filter on this customer. So I can see my 2 invoices here that I just created and posted. And the last one on my 18 and 2 and 1. So on this specific sales order, I only see the actual invoice quantity. There are quite many sales order documents in Business Central, both open documents and posted documents. The open documents are all based on the same table structure, meaning coming from the same tables, but a type fill on the table distinguishes between if it's a sales order and sales invoice, a sales quote or return order, etc. And likewise on the posted documents. So even though the table structure is very simple and the posting routine is very much alike for all of the documents, it seems different from the user. Let's see how it looks. So on the open documents, to begin with, we have a sales quote or a sales blanket order that both can be made into a sales order. The sales order can also be made manually by inputting it, or it can come from some connections to web shops, point of sale solution, etc. So the sales order is a document where we can handle the shipment and the invoice posting in separate ways. So these are some of the basic sales order documents. When I post from the sales order, I can post shipment, which will create a posted sales shipment, and that's about pieces or quantities on the shipment. And later on, I can post a sales invoice that makes a posted sales invoice that is about amount. And those 2 actions is normally not done at the same time. So typically the warehouse people will post the sales shipment and the finance department will post the posted sales order. A sales invoice is a document in Business Central that is also an open document. It can be made manually. It could also be made from a sales quote, and it can also be imported, of course, from different entities. But when posting the sales invoice, it will post the posted shipment and the posted sales invoice at the same time. So normally on a sales invoice, you would create the sales invoice and post it directly afterwards, whereas a sales order is open for a longer time until it's picked and it's shipped. The sales return order and the sales credit memo has the same functionality as the sales order and invoice, except the other way around. So the posted return order also has to do with the ability to post shipment and or receipt and invoicing in 2 steps, whereas the credit memo is posting in 1 step. The sales return order can be made manually or from the posted shipment or posted invoice and another posted sales document. So there's a functionality to import the posted documents to revert it. And likewise on the sales credit memo, it's possible to import from the posted documents to reverse it. And the posted sales return order and sales credit memo both create posted return receipts that has to do with quantities, and posted sales credit memo that has to do with amounts. And again, from the return order, the posting is done in 2 steps. From the credit memo, it's 1 step. It's possible to set up archives in the sales and receivables setup, and if you do that, it's possible to archive sales quote and blanket orders and sales returns orders. So on different actions on the open documents, it could create an archive entry so you can see the history on the order. There's also a functionality when printing a sales draft. There's a check mark if you want to archive the sales draft before invoicing it. So that's an archive functionality. So this is all the view of the complexity of the documents and the posted documents. And on top of all those documents, we have a lot of printing documents that you send to your customer, and those will be explained in another video. There are different documents you can print out from the sales order documents, both the open documents and the posted documents, and you can send to your customers, or you can ship to the warehouse to pick the items to ship them. And I want to run through those documents in this video to give you an overview. To display the complexity of the order, we have made another video that shows how the order structure is working, but this is basically how it looks. So we have all the different open documents and all the posted documents. And from those documents, it's possible to print different printouts. Let's start with the sales order. We have the sales order confirmation that is normally sent to the customer after entering the order. And the sales order confirmation is just to, of course, confirm the order. We have the pro forma invoice that is normally used when you need to ship goods across custom borders and you need a invoicing or a financial document to follow the item, even though it's not yet posted. Then there's a pick instruction that is meant as an instruction for the warehouse people to pick the items if you're not using the advanced warehouse functionality, but just picking directly on the sales order. And there's a work order that looks a little like the pick instruction, but has a sub area, and it's meant to fill in. So if you make a sales order for some service work or work like that, you can enter hours, etc. So a work order could be for a service person doing something at a client site and then entering what components he used and what hours he used. Those are the most important documents on the sales order. On the sales quote, of course, we have the sales quote to send to the customer, and likewise on the blanket order, we have the sales blanket order we could send to the customer. On the posted sales shipment, we have a print that is a sales shipment that normally follows the item with the shipment and used for the logistics people. On the sales invoice, it's also possible to print a pro forma invoice, and it's also possible to print a draft invoice that is a display of how the invoice is going to look when printing it. But the actual sales invoice is being printed from the posted sales invoice. It doesn't matter it's from the sales order or the sales invoice you are actually invoicing. The invoice sent to the customer is based on the posted document. On the sales return order, we have a confirmation like on the sales order, and the sales return order creates posted sales return receipts, and it creates a posted sales credit memo when we post the sales return order. So those are the different documents and an overview from all the sales documents. In this video, I will show you how to create a sales credit memo for a customer. In this case, we might have sold him some bikes and he wants to return 2 of them because the quality is not good enough, and we will accept that. So from my search window, I will look for sales credit memos, and here I will create a new sales credit memo for that customer, and I can copy the original sales order to get the right information and to apply it correctly. So from my actions functions, I will select copy documents to use my original order as an application. And here I select the existing sales order, press OK, and it will fill in the line with the information from the sales order. All I need to do now is to delete the lines that I'm not going to credit. I'll do that here and change the quantity from my 25 shipped pieces to 2. And now I'm done, and if we agree that I will credit the same price, I can just post the sales credit memo directly. Like this, and I can print it to the screen. Now I open the posted sales credit memo, and I could print it to the screen here just to see how it looks, and of course to send it to the customer, and then afterwards I need to go and do some payments for the customer here, so he will get this refund if he already paid it. In this video, I will show you how to view the sales order statistics or the sales invoice statistics in Business Central to see how much money you earned on a specific order. So from my search window, I will enter, for instance, my posted sales invoice that I've done on a specific customer, and I can search for customer name or invoice number, whatever I have, and I can go into this posted sales invoice here that I want to investigate. From my Navigate tab, I can find my statistics, and on my statistics I can see the amount that the customer was invoiced. I can see the original profit percentage that we knew when we sold the item and it was not yet in inventory. That gave us an original profit percentage from an original cost on 2,000 Danish crowns in this situation. So afterwards the item were produced and put on inventory, and first then the actual cost were known, meaning the adjusted profit will be another amount and the adjusted percentage, of course. So in this way I can see my sales order statistics, how my specific order performed.